It's about time we sat down and just had a chat. It's the middle of October in 2024. I find myself in Ecuador, and I'm in the middle of a 2-year anniversary leaving Minnesota and a 2-year anniversary releasing my first video on my channel, GenericExpats, which I feel like maybe the name of this channel is perhaps dissuading some of you from subscribing. So let me know if you think changing the title of my channel, the name of my channel, from GenericExpats to, for example, Generic Wanderers or Generic Abroad, something like that, would be a benefit, and you think it would be a nicer name for the channel, and to kind of not get involved in the drama that is involved in the name expats, which I haven't made any videos about, but I've been dealing with since starting the channel. Today I wanted to just talk to you guys and to give you the real story of how I got here to Ecuador and how I've been doing all this work for my channel, all the videos for my channel, and why I decided to do it. I wanted to give you my personal story, and this starts basically with a major life change that happened in 2021. My father passed away in June of 2021. I was in Mexico at the time. And I have always basically been traveling and working online or working abroad, or just I really enjoy spending life adventuring and doing things outside the standard kind of lifestyle, I guess you could say. So when that happened, my dad had a heart attack and ended up passing away at age 57. At that time, I realized that life was short. I had already been experiencing life in a way that very few people can say that they are able to do. So I guess I'm very fortunate in that respect. I've always worked hard and put a lot of effort into what I've been doing in life. However, at this point, I'm 36 now, so that was 3 years ago. At age 33, my dad passed away at 57. And I thought, okay, well, I'm more than half his age. Who knows when genetic type of predispositions will hit you personally. I've had other family members pass away, rest in peace, and even younger than me. And it's kind of a scary thing, thinking about not being able to fulfill what you think is your destiny, or being able to really take life and give it your all. My dad, he worked all his entire life, worked really hard. He did what he could to give me, my sister, my mom, everyone a good life in Minnesota, in central Minnesota. And I appreciate everything that he did. So yeah, really hits me hard talking about this stuff because I really miss him. But yeah, so I realized when he disappeared from my life that life is short, and I should probably, instead of stopping my adventuring type of lifestyle that I had before, that I should probably just do what I can as long as I can, because who knows when my time will come. And my dad's time came way too short, way too early, and his family as well. My dad's dad passed away very early, my dad's mom before him, and that side of the family has had some family issues and or at least genetic predisposition to not being able to stay here long on this planet. So it's been kind of slowly I've been kind of learning how this is kind of affecting me personally. And so basically I started working and living abroad and doing things in this adventure risk type of lifestyle back when I graduated. Basically, even before graduating, I was studying abroad and living abroad. Back in 2009 was the first time I went to go live abroad in Chile. So I've been kind of, for 15 years, living abroad and doing stuff outside the US. And I've always enjoyed that type of adventure, being the kind of, you don't always have to be the exotic person, but having that adventurous lifestyle and being able to meet new people, see new places, and kind of being on the move. I like being on the move, and I always have. And so basically, when my dad passed away, I flew back from Mexico to go to his funeral. I spent time with family, with my mom. And at that time, I didn't have any transportation because I had been living abroad for 10 years. more than 10 years. And I had a car back in college, but I sold it before I left. And so I thought, well, what's the best situation for me? I should probably get some type of transportation, but I never owned a motorcycle in America besides the one I bought in Arizona, and I drove down to Mexico. And I ended up, I didn't end up driving it back to the US, so I didn't have any vehicles in the US at all. And the motorcycle I actually have now on this trip, I found this when I flew back and was just looking on Mercado, Facebook Marketplace. And as I was, just checking through the options, I thought, okay, I'll just see if there's any decently priced motorcycles, and I can just use that for however long I'm going to be here for. And I ended up finding what is now La Princesa that drove me not only around Mexico for a year and a half before I even started this, but what has taken me from Minnesota down here to Ecuador, and we're still going strong. So I'm really appreciative of finding that bike, and the guy who sold it to me. Thanks so much for giving me this opportunity to do this kind of motorcycle, video series lifestyle. So being that I wanted to have some type of transportation back home when I was back home for my dad's funeral, and when I was spending time with my mom, helping her adjust to a life without him, that's when the motorcycle was very handy. And then as I was using it more and more, and I have these saddlebags, and the hard case saddlebags, very, very nice. And I thought, well, this is the right thing to use for a long-term motorcycle trip. I actually wanted to do that in my first trip, but I bought an Intruder 1,400cc Suzuki, but it was a chopper style bike. It wasn't a touring bike, which is what La Princesa, the Honda NC700X I have now. So basically, what that turned into was spending time with my family, driving it around Minnesota, getting used to it. And then I just fell in love with the bike, and I thought, I'm just going to use this, and I needed to find out what I was going to do. So I wanted to go back to Latin America after my mom felt okay, and she was, a bit more grounded and felt more comfortable being alone in her house without my dad there. I drove down to Mexico, and long story short, I spent some time in Mexico, came back to say hi to my mom. I ended up meeting a YouTuber. Going back, I drove down to Mexico, and while I was there, I met a YouTuber, and he mentioned that he's been traveling the world and by plane and bus and whatever, and how he's been doing his channel, and it's been rewarding, but he doesn't really like doing the type of things that some other YouTubers do. And he also mentioned there was another thing that he thought would be a great way to earn money from Google ad revenue, which is targeting certain groups. And he said that's the best way to at least make money from ads. And then he mentioned an idea, and I thought, that idea is interesting. And then I started elaborating with it. And I elaborated to the point where it came to, mixing this video, mixing this type of lifestyle of being on the motorcycle, having my own transportation, living short term and many different places, and giving my own opinion about how it is to be there, but also giving things that I think are very useful resources to those thinking about living abroad in every place that I go to. Now, it's been very, very challenging. That is going to be the absolute definition of this trip so far. It's just challenging. It's been so challenging. I mean, I got hit by a pickup truck in Panama. My bike almost broke in the middle of Honduras with a wheel ball bearing that was old, and I didn't realize that needed to be fixed or changed. Besides that, my bike stopped working when I got hit by the pickup truck, and that was a whole couple weeks of super difficult times trying to get that fixed. No mechanics can figure it out. Driving your own vehicle through Latin America has lots of challenges, and then mixing it with making content. And I work online. Most of my income comes from being an online teacher. I teach languages, mostly ESL, which is English as a second language, to Asians, mostly Chinese. I have taught some Koreans and Vietnamese in the past, which I love teaching all sorts of Asian students. I like to teach any students, but typically the best opportunities are with Asians online. And that's so that's kind of another extra complication is you know, time zones and internet. And right now in Ecuador, we're having power outages. Just power outages. So it's like 8 to 10 hours per day. There's no electricity at my apartment, and it's like, oh my god, like on top of trying to edit things, on like trying to keep a schedule to be able to, you know, create momentum and good content for you, for my viewers, and for myself, just to show that I'm doing something with this trip and doing something with, you know, with my life that's productive, and not just, you know, being the eternal tourist of, you know, party and good food and going to beaches and all this stuff. I mean, obviously I'm at a beautiful beach right now. I'm in Playa Murciélago, which translated to English is the bad beach or whatever. Yeah, when people see my channel or see my lifestyle, they think, oh my god, constant vacation, but I'm actually spending a lot of time working on teaching classes, learning new skills to be able to do other jobs. In the future, I'm learning to try and do work with perhaps marketing or data analysis, and those things are very interesting to me, so I like to keep my options available. But that comes together in a way that there's just a lot of challenges with doing a channel like this, and of course this is not a very typical lifestyle. It's not a very typical thing for people to do with their time, with their lives. I mean, it's very unstable. There's a lot of uncertainty, and you know, there's been times when I feel like I'm really stressed out because I'm not sure if I'll be able to continue working the same job I've had, or if the job's going to disappear. I've had jobs come and go, and it's always been you know, a difficult thing to not have the stability that a lot of people want. You know, like not having the place where I'm going to be staying for more than a month or 2 months. Usually in this entire trip, I don't think I've stayed more than 2 months in any place. You know, I stayed 2 months in Mazatlan, 2 months in Pereira, and everything else was, you know, 6 weeks minimum there. So the entire idea of doing this is to produce something of value for you guys. So I really hope this is something that is happening. And if you have any suggestions for me, if you think, oh, I want to see this, I want to see more about this, I want to see more about this, I think I would absolutely appreciate and really enjoy having your input on this. This type of project, for me, I think I have a lot to give. I have a lot of information to give, and you know, I'm focusing on things that I think are important. It's the accommodation aspect. How much does it cost? Where are the good neighborhoods? I try and focus on that in most of the cities and countries I go to. What is the cost of living? How much is a budget, you know, of what you want to spend on in a supermarket, or what you should spend in accommodation, or everything together, you know, accommodation and food, transportation, excursions, and, you know, a monthly budget. What is that like? I'm soon going to be interviewing grumpy old gringo Don here in Manta. He already interviewed me for his channel, so if you want to watch that, go ahead, jump onto that link. And I had a great time chatting with him. He's a great guy, and I want to get his perspective on all those things, and that's kind of what I've been trying to do, and just trying to interview as many expats as well and getting their perspectives, because I'm not actually living here in Manta, you know, really living here. I'm saying that I'm kind of short-term living, but, you know, I'm doing more of a routine lifestyle, but in a way that I'm not staying in a place long enough, so I can't really say like, yeah, I've been here for, you know, all the seasons, and, you know, for the ups and downs and all this stuff. You know, here I'm in Ecuador and Manta in a time that's very challenging. It's very inconvenient actually to be here as a foreigner or tourist, and working online especially. So there's a lot of challenges that go into it. But I mean, yeah, I'm trying to interview expats to give you guys the ideas of what they have, what their stories are, how they made it, and what they did to come over here, what they did to get visas. I always try and get visa information when I can research and find it myself, or find people to talk about it. You know, find information about safety. Where is a safe place? Where is not safe? And then coming to places like Manta, for example, like Ecuador in general, people are just super scared about. And this city is actually famous for being one of the top 3 most dangerous places in the country, Esmeraldas and Guayaquil. And here, I just actually came back from Guayaquil yesterday with Natalie, and we spent 2 full days there, and we had a great time. There was zero feeling of danger, at least for me. Natalie felt a little uncomfortable because the city was so empty because it was a holiday, but I knew it was a holiday, so I thought, okay, well, it's pretty standard. So anyways, there's places where, you know, I want to show, well, basically these are famous for being dangerous, so perhaps be very careful. These are the places to go to if you go to these dangerous places. For example, Guayaquil, go to the Malecon. which the Malecon is very beautiful, very fantastic. There's a couple places we went to, like the Parque Iguana Park, and also San Bondron or whatever it's called. It's other like high class, like nice area of the city. You definitely go there and have no issues. So there's always places to go to. If you're looking at trying to find a place to retire and live in a place that's low key, I'm trying to show as much as I can as I drive through all of Latin America and live very short term in all these places. Here in Manta, I think, for example, is a fantastic place for people to live and spend a very tranquil, low-paced type of lifestyle. People like Don and his friends and people that have actually retired here, they make me feel like that's a confirmation that this place is really good for people in that, looking for that type of thing, looking for that type of experience, that type of lifestyle here. I wouldn't suggest that for this place. Super long for digital nomads. I've had some friends that visited here and they got bored after a couple of days. They left in a week. So, I mean, it's definitely different for every person, of course. However, as I go through, the rest of Latin America, I mean, I've already covered Mexico and every country in Latin America and in Central America. I'm doing only the continental part of Latin America, none of the islands. And yeah, it's been very, very rewarding doing all this travel, doing the video work, and just kind of showing myself that I can do something I never thought I could do. I always wanted to do, but I thought it was just so impossible when I thought about it. I met a guy who did the Pan American highway trip on a motorcycle when I was living in Brazil, when I studied in Bahia. I met him at a beach, and he had done Canada down to the tip of Argentina, and he had on the west coast, and then going back up the east coast, he went all the way up to Bahia. And I was floored when I met him. I was like, wow, this Canadian guy did all that, and he did it, I think, on a chopper as well, which I learned is not for me. That's not a very comfortable bike for a long trip, at least not for me. And at that point, I really found out this is what I want to do at some point in my life. And then, randomly ended up combining this lifelong dream I had of driving basically the Pan American, but also doing it in a way that's like a slow digital nomad kind of expat lifestyle. I'm not people always get confused with the word immigrant and expat, thinking that they're the same or different. They are definitely different, and I haven't found a place to call home. Therefore, I won't be an immigrant until I decide to do the process of immigration to stay somewhere long term. So this is definitely the definition of what you call an expat lifestyle, and this is why I call my channel Generic Expats. However, guys, if you think there's a better name for the channel, there's a better way to reach a bigger group. If you watched one of my videos or you saw my videos and you saw my name and you thought, nope, I don't like this guy, I don't like what he's doing. It seems like he's doing something good, but I don't know that name. I think it turns people off, and perhaps that's why I've had slow growth, or perhaps I need to improve my content. Any of your input is very valuable for me, guys. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to bring to the surface, is that I am more than 2 years into this video documentary series of living in Latin America. I did Mexico for 6 months, and then I did Guatemala for 2.5 months, and then I did El Salvador for 2.5 or 3 months, and then Honduras for 6 weeks or 7 weeks, and then Nicaragua for I think 6 weeks as well, then Costa Rica for 6 weeks, then I went over to Panama for 6 weeks, and I just recently left Colombia after spending 6 months there. I love Colombia, and yeah, after leaving Colombia, I came here to Ecuador, and I've been here in Ecuador for more than a month now. And I'll be going to, after Manta, which I'll be here for another 2 weeks, I'll be heading over to Cuenca, which is, I would consider to be the capital of at least the retiree expats that choose a really beautiful, low-key, chill, safe, nice place to retire, low cost of living with good weather. It's pretty cold. You're not going to find this. It's not beach weather. It's very high in the mountains, 2,600 meters or 700 or something. So it's definitely a place that I'm going to be happy to go to after sweating here on the beach and dealing with hot weather for a month. Although I love the hot weather, especially from a motorcycle, I have a little bit of difficulty driving in colder weathers and colder climates. So yeah, that is just something I wanted to bring to the surface, that I'm 2 years and about 2 weeks into my GenericExpats project, and I'm thankfully having some good support, great ideas, and doing a lot of traveling with Natalie from Pereira. She's my girlfriend who has been really helping me with my channel. She's been what she calls herself the cheerleader support, the cheerleader girl. ¿Cómo vas?
Bien, bien.
And the entire my time in Colombia was a little challenging due to some problems with some extortion from the police. I ended up losing about $500 in a made-up fine, and had a lot of complications in Colombia, especially, I mean, had problems with some of my data disk drives and all these things. So, you know, life's about just how you solve your problems, not about having problems. Everyone has problems. How do you solve them, right? That's what's important. So this is what I came here to say. Just wanted to reach out to you guys and tell you about my story.